Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, thank you so much for tuning in. So this video is going to be a little different from my past videos. I kind of wanted to do a story time on how I found out I was pregnant with my daughter at 17 years old. And it's a long one, so stay tuned. So back in 2015, before I had gotten pregnant, I started to dabble in some pretty bad drugs, as well as people that do them, other users. And I fell into the habit of using these drugs every single day very quickly. My drug of choice was methamphetamines, and basically what that does is it increases your heart rate, your dopamine levels are extremely high, and you just can't really think, at least not in a productive way, you know? So this basically altered every decision I made from then on. And moving straight forward to the year 2016, I was 17 years old by then, and my drug use just got really bad to the point that I ended up leaving home and meeting these new people and moved into their house. Why? I don't know. But I guess the main reason would be I had access to these drugs like every day from them. And it was just a really bad situation. You know, I was young, I was a minor, I should be in school, and I wasn't going. I just stopped going to school. And it just got really bad. I was getting high every day. I wasn't looking out for myself. I was always dirty. I would stay inside for basically the entire day. I was scared to go out, you know, because those drugs will make you extremely paranoid. And at the time, I had met a guy. This guy, you know, we had a pretty cool friendship. We would joke around, we would get high together. Red flag. You know, it was pretty easygoing in the beginning. We ended up having unprotected sex, and little did I know that I was pregnant with his baby. And I was still using drugs. I had no idea I was pregnant, you know, otherwise I would have stopped. And then I started noticing symptoms. These symptoms probably should have, like, they should have told me something, but because I was always so out of it, always high, it just on a whole other level of basically sane, you know. The symptoms were extreme back pain, lower back pain. I was tired all the time, and I didn't have my period. And because I was on these drugs, and because of how, you know, fast time was moving, at least to me, it felt that way. I just didn't keep track of that. I didn't recognize these symptoms at all. I wasn't really self-aware, really. So the fact that I had written off these symptoms as like nothing, just like, oh, well, my back hurts today, or I'm pretty tired today, didn't ring any bells. Yeah. So there was a girl that I was living there with, and she she's had kids before. She had 2 kids, and I think she might have seen these symptoms from me and suspected that I might have been pregnant, but didn't want to let me know, to scare me. So she casually suggested the idea of her getting a pregnancy test at a clinic. And she kind of played it off, and she was like, hey, I have to go take this pregnancy test at a clinic. I was wondering if you can come with me, just take one with me, like as like a moral support. And I was like, yeah, totally, like I'll definitely do that for you. So we go, we sign into this clinic, and I pee in the cup and she pees in her cup, whatever. And we both receive our results at the same time. I was given a paper and she was given a paper. She was actually given her results first. They were negative, which I'm pretty sure she already knew were negative. Then I got my paper, and the person, the nurse that had given it to me, kind of pulled me to the side, and she was like, so your pregnancy test came out positive. And I was stunned. Let me tell you, I was so shocked. I had absolutely no idea that I was pregnant. And she also let me know that I was actually about 4 to 6 weeks pregnant. 4 to 6 weeks, at this time, I'm 17. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm in active addiction. I have no idea what's really going on around me. My reality is different from, somebody who's sober. If you've been in active addiction, you probably understand what I mean. It's just a whole other world you're living in. So when she told me, I was so shocked. I was in such disbelief, and I left. We went back to her house, and the guy that I was seeing, he was living there with us basically, and I let him know, and his first response was, no, you're not. And then he walked away. Yeah. My eyes suddenly got watery. I promise you I wasn't crying. I'm actually sick right now. Anyways, so eventually me and him did end up talking about it like a couple days later, yeah. And we were like, we don't really know what to do about this situation. He, for some reason, wanted the baby, and I was set on not keeping it. I wanted to have an abortion. I just didn't want a kid right now, but it was for the wrong reasons. I was young, that's obviously a pretty good reason, but my reasoning at the time was, I still want to have fun, I still want to party, I still want to get high, I still want to do this and that. My mind was just not in the right place at all. And yeah, so just a little bit of backstory, and you were probably wondering before, where are my parents? Where's my mom? What's going on? What is this 17-year-old doing out here randomly going to these people's houses and getting high and staying away from home for this long? My relationship with my mom was not the best at the time. It's still not that great, and that's a result of, all this stress and pain that I've basically put her through. Addiction takes over, and at that point I think my mom just didn't really know what to do. And not to say that she gave up on me, because she definitely didn't. she was still reaching out to me. She was still messaging me, just doing what she can by making sure that I was safe, making sure that I was alive. I didn't expect to get so emotional. But eventually I reached out to my mom. And she said she knew. Like, she just had this feeling, that motherly instinct that something was wrong, or that I was pregnant, more specifically. And she said she expected this call, expected this message from me eventually. So I finally talked to my mom, and of course she's begging me to come back home. She wants to help me. She wants to be there for me. Sorry. So by this point, me and this guy, we were, I guess, together. Like, it wasn't exactly like a mutual agreement that we were together. It kind of just came to be, like a lot of relationships end up becoming these days. But it got abusive very quickly. Physically, emotionally, mentally. He would abuse me and hit me, and it got really bad. So when me and my mom were finally talking, and I'm talking to her about coming back home, he obviously became very threatened by that. And I was covered in bruises up and down my arms, and I was scared. I didn't want anyone that I knew to see me like that. I didn't want my mom to know about it, and I was too scared to go home until one day I was just fed up with it, and I sucked it up, and I called my mom. I was like, I'm ready to come home. I don't know what to do. I don't know how I got into this mess. I don't want to do this anymore. So she came and she picked me up. I really wasn't that far from home either. I was maybe a mile or two away from home. So she picked me up and she drove me home. Obviously she's feeling all these feelings of like anger, maybe some resentment, just sadness, disappointment, all these feelings were completely valid. And as a mother now, that is it's heartbreaking. I couldn't imagine being in the situation that I put her through, but addiction was so hard to recover from, and I had no intention of recovering at the time, but I did. Somehow I just stopped, And honestly, I thank my baby for that, because eventually I decided to keep her, and I did. And right away I sobered up. I stayed home. I tried to go back to school, and I did for a little bit, you know, as the months went by. I was going to school regularly. I stayed on top of my work. I was doing really well. But, you know, my relationship with this guy was still ongoing. I might talk about that in a different video, just because it pertains to a lot of abuse, and I feel like that deserves a story of its own. So fast forward to later, I find out, you know, I'm having this baby. She's a girl. I find out that she's a girl. And fast forward to me giving birth to her. It was amazing. It was, I gotta stop crying. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever experienced in my life. It was like love at first sight, and yeah, nothing could ever replace that moment. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, and I will have to tell, you know, the details and the story in between me finding out and me having her another time, because I feel like it's a completely different scenario. So I will be ending my video here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I apologize for getting so emotional. That was so unexpected. It just brought up so many emotions, and it's a story I've always wanted to share with people, because I haven't really spoken on it, you know, at least not as detailed as that. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support. Feel free to subscribe, like, and comment some ideas for future videos. I'll definitely work on that story time, you know, when I'm ready. I'm not gonna rush it, because obviously I have a lot more emotions about it than I thought I did. And yeah, bye.